Well, realize that silence is not an absence. Most of us, when we think of silence, we think of it as an absence, as though there's all of this happening. And then silence is an absence of all of the happening, but it isn't. Silence is full. Silence is active. Silence is beautiful. Silence is that which actually in many ways is more true, more real, more full than that which is happening outside. Silence offers us another way of knowing. Because one way of knowing is I tell you something. Here's what you should do. Here's how you should be. Here's who I am. Here's how I feel. Here's what I want. All of the stuff that daily life is made of. I can tell you. It'll go in your ears. You'll process it in your brain. You may or may not choose to abide by it. You may or may not choose to be impacted, affected by it. But silence is also communication. There's a beautiful teaching actually of the Buddha, who one day was in a village and it was time for his daily teachings. And he showed up and he sat down. And he just sat. He just sat. Wasn't even like he led a meditation or something. He just sat in silence. People kept waiting and waiting and waiting. He's going to say something. He's going to teach us something. He's going to say something. He's going to teach us something. And he just sat. And finally, after basically the whole time of his satsang was over and he had been silent, when they asked him, why didn't you teach us anything? He said, I did. He said, but if you don't understand my silence, you'll never understand my words. So on a deep level, I think silence is always more powerful than words. So many of the fights we have, the tension, the stress, the misery we have in the world is that sense in relationships of, I just want you to understand me, listen to me, for God's sakes, just listen and understand. Whether it's our parents, whether it's loved ones or your spouses, whether it's our children, whether it's friends. But we're in this constant struggle to just make each other listen so that we can make each other understand. But the problem is, as anybody who's tried to do it knows, it doesn't actually work very well. You might end up getting somebody to sit there and be quiet, but that doesn't mean that they're really listening or understanding. It means they've just learned cello, it's better to just be quiet. But when we are silent, not silence in moping and sulking and passive-aggressive walk out and slam the door silence, but silence that is full and present, that says, I don't need to make this moment more shallow with words. In that silence, we actually convey so much more. They say, when you're angry at someone, you yell. Even if you're a foot apart from each other, you yell. When you're talking to someone, logistically, you speak at a normal voice. When you love someone, you whisper. Now the distances might be the same, but in anger we yell, in love we whisper. Because the distance between our hearts is very far when we're in anger. And the distance between our hearts is very close when we're in love. And so, the closer the distance of your heart, the less you need the words to convey. So try out silence. It's a cure-all in so many ways. Cures you from the burden of trying to explain. Cures you of the burden of trying to know what to respond or react or to say next. So many of us don't even listen to each other because we're so busy figuring out what we're going to say next that we don't even listen. But if you're in silence, you know, I'm not going to respond. So you just listen. It frees you. Frees you from giving a reply, frees you from the snappy answer, frees you from the comeback, from the reaction, and allows you to really listen. To listen to others, yes, but even more to listen to yourself. And we convey, we communicate with our presence. The energy, look, sound is just an energy. It's waves. It travels in the air on waves. Like light, it's an energy. It travels on waves. Our being, our presence, our love is an energy. It's a frequency. It also travels through the world on waves. And we feel it. That's how you know when someone loves you, whether they say it or not. So it's a beautiful practice. The more we use it, the better off we all will be.